Last week in Michigan politics, Ottawa County's health officer going back to court to enforce a multi-million-dollar settlement that would have her walk away from the post. Plus, a Michigan judge rules Trump will be on your ballot come next year, why he said Trump could not be taken off. And Governor Whitmer traveling to Kalamazoo to sign new laws meant to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. I'm Josh Alburtus, and this is your 13 on your side rundown. Thanks for joining us, West Michigan. We begin in Kalamazoo, where Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed new laws to keep guns away from domestic abusers. Whitmer signing these bills at the YWCA as those affected by this kind of violence said they were met there with resources and support amid their loss and as they fought for change.
We do not have to live like this.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer traveling to Kalamazoo on Monday to sign 3 bills into law aimed at keeping guns out of the hands of domestic abusers.
Domestic violence with a gun is deadly and far too common. I'm proud that we are taking action to reduce violence and save lives.
Current Michigan law prevents those convicted of felonies from owning firearms for certain amounts of time. The 3 bills signed by the governor on Monday would also bar anyone convicted of a misdemeanor involving domestic violence from having firearms for 8 years after the end of their sentence. The governor was surrounded by supporters and those touched personally by domestic violence, people like Rick and Martha O'Million.
It's almost a surreal thing because we've been working on this since Maggie died.
The O'Millions lost their daughter Maggie to an abusive ex-boyfriend in 1999 who shot her with a gun. Since then, after seeking help from the YWCA, they've been on the forefront of calls to change the law surrounding firearms and domestic abuse.
No mom needs to go to bed at night and feel like I feel. I mean, every single night I fall asleep with this and I wake up with it.
While they say it's a hard-fought and welcome start, the couple said they intend to keep making their voice heard to get justice for those like Maggie.
He thought that when he killed her, that he snuffed her out. That did not happen. We're determined that her memory goes on, and we tell this story, and we connect with other people that have this feeling about what needs to be done.
And the Democratic-led legislature in Lansing did adjourn early for the year last week, moving up the timeline on when many new laws will go into effect. That means this legislation is expected to take its effect early next year. And turning now to Ottawa County, where a county commissioner has resigned from the board. According to a Facebook post, Republican District 6 Commissioner Kyle Terpstra gave the board chair Joe Moss his resignation last Thursday. Terpstra has said he's not part of the highly conservative Ottawa Impact majority, but he has voted with those commissioners in certain areas. In his Facebook post, Moss said that he accepted the resignation and that he was thankful for Terpstra's service. It comes after Terpstra has been absent from a number of board discussions in recent weeks. A new commissioner, Moss said, will be appointed within the next 30 days, and that person will serve out the remainder of Terpstra's term that ends on December 31st of next year. Also in Ottawa County this week, a proposed $4 million settlement between the county and its health officer, Adeline Hambly, apparently hit a snag. Now Hambly's attorney is asking a judge to step in to enforce it. In that filing, Hambly's attorney characterized it as, quote, buyer's remorse from county commissioners. This tentative agreement had originally been discussed during closed-door session earlier this month. Commissioners voted to accept their legal counsel's recommendation on the issue of litigation. According to this filing, these terms also included the deputy health officer leaving early next year, all litigation being dropped, and Hambly herself leaving by December 15th at the latest. Earlier this week, commissioners entered another closed-door session without any voting on a final decision. Hambly's attorney spoke to reporters on the subject following that meeting.
We certainly thought there was agreement to settle the lawsuit. We are not exactly back to square one. That's not how I would describe it. But we're trying to get this across the finish line, and we're just not there yet.
We also spoke with County Legal Counsel Dave Coleman for his response to that motion.
Corporate counsel never made a recommendation for any settlement to be accepted or voted on by the board, ever, in all these closed sessions in the last few weeks. These are settlement discussions. It's a process.
Hambley and the county are expected to be in court the morning of November 27th. And one of the county's food operations is taking a pause due to budget cuts. Ottawa Food is a collaborative operation that combines both the public and private sector to help with food security in the county. That includes the county government itself, which helps fund both the supplies and materials it uses, and the salary for its operations coordinator. In the most recent budget talks, commissioners were able to keep the funding for that operation, but were not able to help fund the coordinator position. That's because the position is funded through Ottawa County's Department of Public Health Education, which received a budget cut. So now some programs within the operation are paused until leaders can figure out how to move forward without that position.
The board is choosing to just essentially kind of look at this is the scenario we face, rather than, you know, kind of like start getting hyperbolic about it or anything like that. Our focus moving forward into this next calendar year really leans into trying to find the best solutions we can now that the model has been altered.
And there's no word on how long this pause will last, but board members say they will continue to meet until they are able to figure out a solution to this change. And the city of Grand Rapids has seen a lot of changes in the last 20 years, and city leaders plan on keeping the momentum going. With a master plan that is currently in the works, 13 on your side's Liliana Murillo spoke to the city officials and tells us how these decisions are being made.
Next time you take a drive downtown, look around you. You'll see new shops, a restaurant you haven't tried, or a business taking over buildings that used to be empty. These changes are all happening because of planning that happened years ago, all included in the master plan.
In the state of Michigan, a community is obligated to look at their master plan every 5 years and have to take a look at it and say, are there adjustments that need to be made? Has something significant happened that we didn't anticipate?
Ideas and visions have been brought to life because of this plan, along with officials hearing what the community thinks can improve the area.
We do have community connectors and neighborhood organizations that are more, boots on the ground, trying to engage on a one-on-one basis for those that might not feel as comfortable coming to larger city meetings, public meetings.
She says some plans have been in the works for nearly a decade.
I think a lot of the planning work that we did in 2002 set the stage for some of these catalytic projects to take place in the city.
But with the needs of the city changing, the plan is changing too.
That we have a critical need for housing. And so if we know that and we're hearing that from community, what this plan can help do is identify, well, where can additional housing go? What corridors specifically? What are the heights? What does that housing look like? What are the densities that we think could be compatible with the neighborhood that it's going in?
And although there is still work to be done, she says Grand Rapids is growing in the right direction.
And I think 20 years later, it's a really great place to be. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to work. And we have a lot of exciting things that are on the horizon.
Grand Rapids hopes to adopt its new master plan next year. For more information on these sessions, go to bridgetourfuture.com. For 13 on your side, I'm Liliana Murillo.
Now to Your Voice, Your Vote. A Michigan judge has denied a request to keep former President Donald Trump off the 2024 presidential primary ballot in our state. Activists sued Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson to keep Trump off Michigan ballots, questioning his constitutional qualifications. They argue Trump is not eligible to be on the ballot following the events leading up to the January 6th Capitol riot. The judge has now said the request is a, quote, political question and not one to be decided by the courts. And the election isn't until next November, but the campaign is officially underway for the next mayor of Grand Rapids. Sita Lanir is the first candidate. She made that announcement earlier this week. If elected, the former city commissioner would make history as the city's first black woman to hold the office. Lanir previously represented the city's 3rd ward from 2014 to 2022. Now, less than a year later, she says she's entering this race to build on the progress she believes she made in that office.
The race is on to see who will become the next mayor of Grand Rapids come 2025. On Tuesday, the race gaining its first candidate to officially file, former city commissioner Sita Lanir.
I want Grand Rapids to be the place where everyone can say that they love being in Grand Rapids. And there's work to be done, but I'm the person here who who's able to get it done.
A former commissioner from the 3rd Ward, Lanir, left office last December after being term limited. It's the same situation now facing current Mayor Rosalyn Bliss, who will be term limited at the end of 2024. Whoever takes her place will address ongoing issues facing the city, including continued public concern over relief for the city's housing shortage and its unhoused population.
Being able to talk with stakeholders, business owners who are having concerns, as well as persons who are walking down the street and having concerns. You know, whoever it is, and even those who are experiencing homelessness, asking them to, you know, what is it that we can do to address those concerns? That would be a priority for me as mayor.
A priority shared by another high-profile name in the area and a potential challenger, former state representative David LeGrand.
We have to really address issues of housing and homelessness. That's an issue probably across the country, but it's certainly an issue in Grand Rapids. And affordable housing and having enough housing stock.
While LeGrand announced his intent to run for mayor earlier this year, the city confirming that as of Tuesday afternoon, Lanir was the only candidate to have officially filed. She said her commitment to Grand Rapids puts her in place for success as she sets her sights on City Hall.
That's why I'm the first person to have filed those petitions, because I'm not all about talk, I'm all about action. And so my petitions are filed, I'm talking about my candidacy, and it's time to win this election.
A Flint Township congressman well known with his name in politics will not be running for re-election next year. Democrat Dan Kildee, whose term will end January 3rd of 2025, made that announcement last Thursday. Earlier this year, Kildee was diagnosed with a serious but curable cancer. Before his diagnosis, he says he did plan to run for re-election. Kildee is stepping down after 11 years serving in Congress, but says he will remain active on issues outside of elected office. His departure could be the latest shakeup in control for Congress. Following Kildee's announcement, Cook Political Report moved that race from lean Democrat to toss-up. And as counties and communities around the state are working to quickly finalize early voting plans to comply with a state constitutional amendment passed last year, commissioners in the city of Muskegon have approved their early voting plan for the 2024 elections. They passed it at last night's commission meeting. Early voting became an option in our state after voters passed Proposal 2 last year. The early voting period takes place for a minimum of 9 consecutive days, ending the Sunday before Election Day. Any registered voter qualifies to cast a ballot early in person for any statewide or federal election. Communities will start early voting with the presidential primary on February 27th. And Governor Gretchen Whitmer sent a letter to Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson on Wednesday calling for a special election to fill 2 vacant seats in the Michigan House of Representatives. 2 seats in the Michigan House were vacated after 2 sitting Democrats won mayoral races in the November elections. The special primary election will be held on January 30th, 2024, and the general election will be held on April 16th, 2024. We now know which schools would close under recommendations by Grand Rapids Public Schools leaders. 10 schools would close, saving the district more than $60 million. This plan is a result of voters approving a $305 million bond for GRPS during last week's election. 13 on your side's Micah Cho spoke with district leaders who say the new proposal would be a positive for the district.
Stocking Elementary is one of 10 Grand Rapids schools recommended to close within the next 5 years, but Superintendent Dr. Ledrian Roby says these are positive changes.
We are really excited because it's also about what we'll get in return. We are looking at building more stronger programming.
Dr. Roby explained the plan to the school board Monday night. One of the benefits she emphasized, using buildings more efficiently. As of right now, GRPS is at a 51% building utilization rate, meaning buildings across this district are half full.
Our goal is 75%. We think we'll get close to that just by doing some of these moves, close to 73%. That doesn't mean that we are just stopping with those moves. It also means that we'll be doing other initiatives and other supports to encourage and invite families to take a look at GRPS.
Along with Stocking Elementary, East Leonard Elementary is also on the closing list for 2024. Stocking students would relocate to Harrison Park Academy or Sibley Elementary, and East Leonard students would go to either Kent Hills Elementary or Coit Creative Arts Academy. And schools including Mullock Park Campus and Southwest Elementary schools would see major renovations. The school closing and repurposings could save the district around $63 million, and according to Dr. Roby, could bring students, teachers, and staff even closer together.
We have been very intentional about using our repair criteria to look about how do we optimize and value all school options. We talk a lot about equity, and how we've operationalized that is through expanded opportunities.
Micah Cho, 13 on your side.
A former First Lady, Rosalyn Carter, is being remembered this week. The 96-year-old passed away Sunday at her home in Plains, Georgia, with her family by her side. She entered hospice care late last week, 6 months after a dementia diagnosis. This week, we learned more about who Rosalyn was as a person, her impact as First Lady, and her close relationship with Betty Ford. 13 on your side's Lauren Baker spoke with the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Museum curator about her life and her impact on mental health.
As the country mourns the death of former First Lady Rosalyn Carter, many are remembering her for the positive changes she made in our history.
She had a huge impact.
As a voice for change, she advocated for mental health awareness and equal rights. But she didn't do it alone.
Like Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford, Rosalyn Carter and Betty Ford were fairly close.
After meeting in April of 1974, Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library and Museum Supervisory Curator Mirelle Lukey says Ms. Carter and Grand Rapids' own Betty Ford created a close relationship that included friendship and advocacy.
They actually first met in April 1974 when Betty Ford made her first solo trip as second lady to Atlanta, Georgia, where she met Rosalyn Carter. And Rosalyn recalled being really nervous that Betty Ford was coming because she knew her husband planned to run for president in 1976. But she recalled how warm and friendly Betty was, and the two women really hit it off after that.
Some of the things they did included both women testifying before Congress in 1994 that mental health and substance abuse treatment should be a part of the then new Health Care Reform Act. They also brought that advocacy to Grand Rapids several times, including in 1984 when Carter traveled to the museum for a conference Ford was hosting focused on First Ladies.
The two women spoke about their role as First Ladies and how they could be both advocates for causes that they believed in and also confidants for their husbands.
But more importantly, they supported each other as friends.
Well, I think their friendship and the connection that they shared with each other just helps make both women human, and also really points to the fact that they were very passionate about using their platform as First Ladies.
Platforms that continue to make strides in helping people's lives.
And that's a rundown for your week in Michigan politics. Be sure to keep up with all the top political stories of the week, both on air and online at 13onyourside.com.